What's going on, guys? Graham G.S. and Matthews here breaking down the September 27, 2024 edition of WWE Friday Night SmackDown. Hope you guys are doing well, enjoying the remainder of your weekend. Pretty good edition of SmackDown, I thought, on Friday night. I actually really enjoyed this show. I thought the opening segment was strong. They book into the show strong, very well, with the Bloodline stuff involving Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and some very good stuff in the middle, specifically including Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, and another fucking banger on the Blue brand. Really liked the show this week. Really didn't get a whole ton of content, so this probably will not be the longest review. That's mostly because Carmelo Hayes and Andrade just was given so much time. Bayley and Naomi was given a significant amount of time. Michin and Piper Niven was given more time. Not a lot of time, but more time than they were a couple of weeks ago. So I thought overall they gave the show, a number of meaningful segments to set up next week's even more exciting show, which I'll get to a little bit later on. But as they mentioned earlier, I thought they opened the show very, very well, with Cody Rhodes out there to interrupt Randy Orton. Our first kind of back and forth with Cody and Randy in a while, because we did have those teases over the summer of Randy Orton not explicitly saying that he wants Cody Rhodes' WWE Championship. He just said that when the Bloodline War was over, that there's going to be a lot of people setting their sights on that prestigious prize, and that he would have his back when that happened. There was like a pause in between him saying, there's going to be a lot of people coming for your title, and then I'm going to have your back. I mean, Randy Orton's he's had Cody's back this entire time on SmackDown, helping him fight off the Bloodline, but that can only go on for so long. And we're currently in a spot where Owens is the one teasing tension, getting frustrated. We saw that here. Owens didn't have a chance to respond to Cody agreeing to align with Roman Reigns from 2 weeks ago. Didn't have a chance to talk about that last week. He was interrupted by Tama Tonga, the Bloodline, and Tama Tonga's yeah, that old dumb shit that he does that. It did last week as well. I think it's fucking funny as hell, but that's just me. So anyway, that was the exact same case here as well. Owens came out and did not get a chance to say, he did talk, but not before the Bloodline came out again. Randy Orton spoke, and he said, they eventually kind of, because they talked about their history and legacy and whatnot, and they eventually agreed, and Randy Orton had said, listen, I have no problem with it until it is a problem. So that, to me, kind of hinted at the fact, because they wanted the bigger focus to be on KO. They are absolutely planting the seeds for an Orton heel turn. I don't know if both he and Kevin Owens go heel, but I think it's a lot more likely it will just be Randy Orton. And it could end up being Kevin Owens. Maybe they will go through with the Kevin Owens heel turn, as they have teased, with him being fed up with Cody for, continuing to fight the Bloodline's battles and agreeing to team with Roman, who is their sworn enemy for many, many years now. Specifically for Owens, more so than even Orton or Cody. But I thought this was very well done. So they set up the tag team match for the main event. We already know we're getting Solo and Jacob Fatu versus Cody and Roman Reigns at Bad Blood. But on this show, we found out in the main event we would be getting Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus the Bloodline, Solo, Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu in tag team action. So I thought this was very well done, and we'll get to more of the Kevin Owens reaction and heel turn teases as we talk about the main event a little bit later on. Bayley and Naomi battling for the WWE Women's Championship shot at Bad Blood. They both pinned Nia Jax in last week's tag team tornado match, which I thought was a bit goofy, but they wanted to extend the build between Bayley and Naomi also wanting a shot, so I guess I get it. They had a good match here. I thought this was one of Naomi's better matches since returning to WWE. And I know some people have said, she's looked off, or she's looked different in the ring compared to how she was in TNA before she left there. I get it. I've largely enjoyed her matches, so I really haven't seen that same, issue with her in-ring work. But here it didn't even matter regardless. I thought this was a very good match, despite the fact it had a babyface versus babyface dynamic. They worked well together. The crowd was into it. Bayley ending up winning clean to earn that opportunity at Bad Blood. Now, Naomi didn't appear to be the most thrilled afterward, but they had that backstage segment a little bit later on in the show where Naomi said, go on to Bad Blood, you win that championship, and they were cool. So Naomi and Tiffany will have a match next week. We found that out in that same segment backstage. They didn't hype that up for later on in the show for next week. They didn't hype it up later on in the show for next week, but I think that was another match they made official for that episode on the Go Home show for SmackDown before Bad Blood. But I thought Bayley and Naomi was well done. They were teasing a babyface turn for Tiffany later on in the show after she was choked out by Nia. They were teasing a heel turn for Naomi that she wasn't exactly thrilled, like I said, with being, with losing to Bayley on this show. I don't think they go forward with either tease, to be honest with you. I could see them obviously turning either Owens or Orton or both heel. I honestly expect that. I don't think they'll turn Naomi. I don't think they'll turn Tiffany. I hope they wouldn't turn Tiffany. I think Tiffany is great in her current role. They don't need to kind of fuck up anything they currently have going with her. I know she might turn, or rather, cash in on Nia at some point. I don't think that definitely has to make her a babyface. I mean, I guess it could, but I think it's too soon for that personally. For Naomi, it is possible. I could see Naomi maybe going heel, especially with Charlotte Flair being on her way back at some point soon. We're getting that Tiffany Charlotte feud eventually. We're going to be getting that Charlotte Nia Jax feud, probably on the sooner side, Queen versus Queen, championship on the line. Not the most thrilling feud, but, I could certainly see them doing that at some point. Definitely not all that exciting, but I mean, it's a logical place to go with the two of them. So that might require Naomi to go heel. And a Bayley-Naomi feud I would have no issue with, honestly, at all. It would keep both women busy after Bayley inevitably loses to Nia Jax again at Bad Blood. So I could totally see that. I'm just not really all that confident that Naomi would be great in the heel role, because she wasn't a decade ago. I mean, it was something new, and maybe it was just the booking and how she was constantly booked to look like a loser. But the Team Bad stuff with Sasha and Tamina wasn't exactly my favorite period of her career. She's always been organically over as the Glow stuff. And honestly, if she turns heel, maybe that would give her a chance to move away from the Glow stuff for a while, because she's been doing the Glow stuff for a fucking 8 years now. And yeah, it's over and it works, I get it, but something new would be nice. I don't know if that means a heel turn necessarily, but, I'm not expecting it. Let's put it that way. I'm not expecting it, but it is a direction they could go in if they wanted to. So we'll see. It's really all a matter of what they have in mind for Bayley after she loses to Nia again at Bad Blood. Because when she's done in the title picture, I'm not really sure what you do with Bayley. Charlotte will be back at some point, but that's not a feud to do with Bayley, because we've seen that a million fucking times. Bayley and Tiffany, we've already seen a few. We've already seen a couple different times. Actually, only one time. I think they only had their first one-on-one match a couple of weeks ago. So you could maybe do Bayley and Tiffany. But by proxy, that kind of means Bayley's still feuding with Nia, because Tiffany and Nia are allies currently. They're a team, so that wouldn't exactly be the freshest thing. Bayley and Chelsea Green, maybe, but we kind of already saw that when Bayley feuded briefly with Piper Niven going into Clash of the Castle. So probably not. They have a lot of stars on SmackDown, but not it's weird. I wouldn't even say they don't have depth, because they have Bianca and they have Jade, but they can't really use them because I don't know, because they're a tag team right now. I mean, I guess you could do a Bayley, Naomi versus Bianca and Jade feud. We had discussed that on hashtag a couple of weeks ago. That wouldn't be a bad idea at all, honestly, to keep those four busy with that sort of feud. I know they're all baby faces, but you can further tease a heel turn for Naomi or even Bianca, or probably specifically Bianca. You could tease a heel turn for Jade, but I would turn Bianca over Jade personally first, because we haven't seen Bianca as a heel in a very long time. I don't know if they would do that, but just something to keep in mind there. But that would be interesting. I don't know if they actually do it, but it would be interesting. Anyway, so we had the sixth match on the show between Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. Andrade lost to LA Knight last week in their United States Championship match. Carmelo Hayes and Andrade brawled backstage afterwards, setting up the sixth match in their feud. And I'm glad the feud's not over either. They had 5 matches. They could have easily gone to 7, and it appears that they are, which is great. And honestly, this may have been their best match yet. They've had a lot of great matches, but this was given time. There were a lot of fucking cool moves. The crowd was into it. These two guys single-handedly have gotten themselves over with this series of matches. Just let these two guys cook, as the kids say nowadays. I know that sounds cringy as fuck for me to say, probably. But just let them do their thing in the ring and just watch them shine. And that's exactly what's happened on SmackDown in the last couple of months during the course of this feud. Carmelo Hayes ended up going over as he should have. Andrade was up 3-2, so Carmelo Hayes evening the score here after interference from LA Knight, who went after Hayes. He also got in the face of Andrade. Carmelo capitalized because Carmelo attacked LA Knight before the match backstage, provoking him. And then Knight kind of got on the apron. Carmelo capitalized, threw Andrade into Knight, pinned Andrade, and picked up the victory. So they are now tied 3-3. In addition to an obvious tiebreaker in this feud, the 7th match that we have to get at some point, I feel like we also have to get a triple threat for the United States Championship. I mean, these three have worked really well together in the last couple of weeks. They've planted the seeds for a triple threat match on multiple occasions. Why would you not do that match? I honestly feel like it would be the perfect addition to a Bad Blood show, but the pay-per-view's in less than a week. Unless they add it on Friday SmackDown, which they could, I don't see them doing that, which sucks because they should, they do belong on a pay-per-view card. Maybe, I feel like Crown Jewel's too far away. I mean, that's in a month after Bad Blood, which I guess you could get away with. But, I feel like they might wrap this up on the sooner side. They might do the triple threat, Knight retains, and then we get the 7th match between Hayes and Andrade. So, we'll see. But I thought this match was awesome. I thought the way they booked the finish was well done. I really, really liked this. This was a highlight of the night for me personally. Michin and Piper Niven having a good match, a much longer match than the last one, which isn't saying a lot because that last match was like 2 fucking minutes and 90 seconds, whatever it was. And because of it, didn't really have a chance to be anything because it was so brief. But I think they realized that because they were short on time a couple of weeks ago, WWE kind of threw them a bone here. They threw them a bone and they were like, hey, listen, we'll give you like 8 minutes, which, again, isn't 5 segments worth of TV time, but it's better than nothing. They went through a commercial break, and what we got was also good. It was better than the last match. Nothing great, but what we got was fine. Michin winning again. And obviously, we're getting Michin and Chelsea Green on next week's show in a dumpster match. So this kind of setting the stage for that, giving Michin some last-minute momentum. This was good, exactly what it needed to be. The Bloodline in the main event, Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu representing, taking on Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. A very good main event, pretty solid TV stuff, I thought. A solid TV main event. Seeing Fatu in there with Owens and with Orton will never get old. Fatu doesn't really wrestle a whole lot. Like, they have a couple 6-man tag team matches here and there. He was injured briefly coming out of SummerSlam, and he's obviously technically considered not one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions anymore. He kind of gave that up to Tonga Loa, and now Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are the WWE Tag Team Champions. More on them momentarily. But we haven't seen him in the ring a whole lot since he debuted. So whenever he does get in the ring and he's sharing the ring with top talent like Owens and Orton, is never a bad thing. This was a very good main event. I thought this was enjoyable. And in the end, Solo and Jacob going over after Solo threw Cody in the ring, who came down to ringside towards the end here, throwing Cody in the ring, which disrupted the referee's count, or just disrupted the referee in general, which Owens took notice of and blamed Cody for the loss, which allowed Solo and Jacob to pick up the victory, Solo pinning Kevin Owens, and Owens was pissed. He just got in the face of Cody afterward, not even like showing that face of frustration or, just kind of beaten down, that downtrodden look. He was just flat out fucking pissed. He got in Cody's face. He kind of headbutted him a little bit, shoulder blocked him. He was frustrated. Orton had to break him up. And that was the closing visual of the show as the Bloodline looked on laughing in the distance. So I thought that was a great development of the Bloodline saga. I think they're doing a good job of keeping it interesting. We needed to move forward in a significant way, and we got that here because the Bloodline just continuing to feud with Cody and those guys, it's been fucking done before. But now we're getting a significant, intriguing development with tension being teased between Cody, Orton, and Owens. And because of Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns was not on this show. He did not need to be on this show. I don't know if he'll be there next week. I would think so. I mean, it's the last show before the pay-per-view. He wasn't there in person. Last week, they did do the Georgia Tech segment on last week's show, which was great. But he wasn't in the building for that show. So I would think he might be there next week. They are advertising a whole host of Roman Reigns appearances on the road to Survivor Series. So I would think we will be getting War Games after all. I don't know what form exactly. It might be the current Bloodline versus Cody, Randy, Owens, and Roman. I just don't know how we get to a point where Orton and Owens agree to team with Roman Reigns. Unless Cody's agreeing to give them a title shot if they win or something, which kind of sounds like a heel move. We've seen that in the past with like heel teams, because Cody rather just gives out championship matches like candy anyway. So I wouldn't think that Owens and Randy would have to earn it by teaming with him at Survivor Series. I don't really know how we get there. We're there in 2 months. Survivor Series is in 2 months from tomorrow on November 30th. Today's September 29th, obviously. So we'll see when we get there. But next week's Go Home show is looking stacked though on paper. In addition to the aforementioned Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton and dumpster matches between Michin and Chelsea Green on SmackDown next week, We are also getting a triple threat, I don't know where the fuck this came from, a triple threat tag team ladder match for the WWE tag team titles. The Bloodlines, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jesus. God help us all with Tonga Loa being in a ladder match. That should be entertaining. Those two defending the tag team titles against DIY and the Street Profits. I honestly don't really know who goes over in that one. I don't think DIY get the belts back. I could see it being maybe the Profits. I just have a feeling that Bloodline will retain. They just won the belts like a month and a half ago. DIY had a short run before that. Not everyone has to have like an 8-month run. But I don't know. I could see them maybe doing a title change because you don't have to pin the Bloodline, which Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa have been pinned before, so it's not exactly a big deal. I think Tonga Loa has been pinned. I'm not sure, but yeah. So we'll see next week. But that should be a crazy fucking match to do on SmackDown. I don't know when the last ladder match that we got on TV was. Typically, it's on pay-per-view. In WWE, AEW, they well overdo the ladder match. We get so many of them, and a lot of them just don't mean anything because we get so many of them in WWE, including NXT. But that should be fun. I would be lying if I said I was not excited for that match. And then also next week, fucking finally, we just talked about this guy on WrestleRant Radio on Thursday. AJ Styles is on his way back to the Blue brand. For what, we don't know. Honestly, at this point, I feel like unless he's going babyface, I'd rather just see him go to Raw. Because if he's a heel, who would he even work with? He's already feuded with Cody. He lost to him twice. We've seen him and Orton a million times. We've seen him and Owens a lot. Him and LA Knight even just feuded. They could have a rubber match, but Knight's kind of currently busy with Andrade and Hayes. So why are they bringing back AJ on the pre-Bad Blood SmackDown? Obviously, he's a Georgia guy. Maybe he gets a last-minute match for Bad Blood against who? I guess it could be Knight, but again, it would be obvious. I feel like Knight would retain regardless, and he should. I would like to see Knight and AJ added to the pay-per-view, if even only for like a pre-show match, because it gets AJ on the show in his home state, and because he's from Gainesville, Georgia, obviously. We get a Knight defense on pay-per-view, and we get that match one more time because they are currently tied with one win apiece. They had a match on SmackDown a while ago that had like a no contest finish right before the Rumble, I think, so I wouldn't even count that. At Mania, Knight won. They had a rematch on SmackDown a couple of weeks later in a number one contenders WWE title match, and AJ obviously won that to earn the opportunity at Backlash. So in major matches with actual finishes, they're tied one win apiece, I believe. So I would have them run it back. I would have AJ bring that up. The last time, that may have been the last loss that Knight suffered, honestly. I don't know, actually. I think Knight, actually, he did. He did since lose because he lost to Tama Tonga, I think, in the King of the Ring tournament. But one of the last losses that Knight suffered was to AJ Styles on SmackDown back in, I think, April. I would have them run it back. I don't know if it's going to be next week or the pay-per-view. I would do that. I doubt they do that. They have like their 5-6 match card. That's the limit. They're cutting it off there. But it is what it is. So, yeah, I thought overall, SmackDown this week, I thought was a very good show. I'm looking forward to next week. I will be watching next week's show. I just don't know when the review will be up. I'm hoping to do a review. So here's the issue. I'll be away most of the day on Saturday, like I was this week. And obviously today I'm doing the SmackDown review on Sunday. The issue with next weekend, though, is that we have Bad Blood on Saturday. If it's a pre-pay-per-view show, I typically don't review SmackDown after the pay-per-view. I will do it for SmackDown Lowdown. For SmackDown itself, not usually, just because it's a lot of the stuff we see on the show is out of date, and I just kind of skip that SmackDown review. I've never missed a SmackDown Lowdown review, so that's why I still review those. For SmackDown, I might. I probably will not get a chance to break down that show. I will be watching it. I'm hoping to watch it live next Friday. But maybe I can watch it and review it real quick before I leave on Saturday morning. I'm not sure yet. So we'll see. I am hoping to review the show before the pay-per-view next week, so keep an eye out for that here on the channel next weekend. Be sure to like this video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content, folks. Have an awesome rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.